Bag, I want the bag. Work my way from a garden to a track. Flip it from a track to a plot full of acres. Do it for the farmers and producers and the makers. What we even here for? Occasionally I ask it. I know it's more than struggling, anticipating the casket. Reap what we sow, I'm trying to fill up my basket. Life's a plantation, I self-law and master. Over the plot I've been granted on this planet. Now it's slanted, cause the chosen been supplanted. But if you overstand it, it was spoken. Fractured, but we ain't broken. Even though some would rather play the role of token, we growing. Black through the essence of a presence. We carry the blood of gods, we carry the mind of peasants. Rich black gardens, future look more like Eden. Multiply seeds like the seed banks in Sweden. Rep my planners on plan according to season. B1 code, switching it up is treason. Black power, family what we eat. Either we get fed or we feed. B1AG.
What's growing on? What is growing on? What is growing on? Welcome to B1AG Daily Bread Podcast. I'm John Henry Harris, and we also have Farmer Brown, the MC. Here at B1AG, we focus on Black agriculture as it pertains to agricultural production, education, marketing, health, food, nutrition, and economics, all for the Black family and for the Black community. Before we get started, let's go ahead. Hey, everybody like, share. Let's make this conversation bigger, and let's push the Black algorithm. Matter of fact, let's push the Black algorithm, as we like to say here at B1AG. We're pushing the Black algorithm. We need to make sure that our people are more aware of what's going on with our food system, and all the changes that are going on within agriculture as it pertains to our community. Welcome back to the garden. Welcome Black to the garden. Today's story we're going to talk about is propaganda. Now, propaganda has been used to start wars, and we can really more recently we're seeing propaganda being played out as it pertains to the pandemic and these fact checkers and things like that. But we're looking at today we're going to really focus on propaganda used in a positive way when it comes to how agriculture is portrayed to our youth through media and literature. So today's story is going to be B1AG, the fight for the minds of our youth. So Farmer Brown, this is really centered around a lot of what Farmer Brown does. He is also a children's author, and we're going to talk, and we're really going to focus on his books and the ideology behind using this propaganda in a positive way to introduce agriculture to our youth in a way that pushes the community forward. So, Farmer Brown, let's talk about this Black algorithm, bro.
First, I'd just like to say peace to the B1 family. Hope everybody's doing well. Visuals, and this is according to shiftelearning.com. Visuals cause a faster and stronger reaction than words. They help users engage with the content, and such emotional reactions influence information retention. This is because the visual memory is encoded in the medial temporal lobe of the brain, the same place where emotions are processed. When we think about how visuals have been used throughout the years, and so I don't think it's a secret. I have 2-year-old twins, and so I've really been on this cartoon game as of the last 2 years. I try to be very conscientious about the visuals and images that my children see. When I was growing up, I was big on Bugs Bunny, and so I was looking at some of the historical Bugs Bunny cartoons, and I think it was very interesting that before it actually became a funny little rabbit, these were actually tools used to recruit military in World War II. I would like to also send some homage to a great ancestor, Rosetta Lucas Quisenberry. And she has a series of books, the Saga of the Black Family, the Saga of the Black Child. I was fortunate to meet Miss Quisenberry back in about 2008, and as I was getting on my author journey, she really schooled me to, just some of the dynamics about how visuals have impacted our people. And so I'm not going to go through this whole book, but I just want you to see some of the images when we think about our grandparents, when we think about why we think about agriculture in particular the way we do. These are some of the images that were on postcards. These were some of the images that were passed around when it came to seeing our, melanated people in relation with the land. And so when we think about this concept of propaganda, we try to be codified and we try to look at, okay, what works for one end. So if we see negative propaganda has worked to pretty much get a significant amount of us to not see ourselves a part of this agricultural space, then can that same concept be used backwards for us to see ourselves in a positive light? So with that, today I think we're going to be doing a little shameless plugs, but I hope the family understands what we're getting at, and I hope the family can glean some inspiration. Obviously I would hope you would definitely support some of this work, but also see how you can incorporate this same concept within your household, families, and communities. So with that, do you have a video real quick, kind of give a quick overview?
Now, I've definitely seen firsthand the positive effects of literature on kids. Me and Farmer Brown did a program called Basics for Young Bosses, and through our program that we did for 2 years, we were sponsored by the University of Kentucky Federal Credit Union. We were able to make over 30 young kids, ages 8 to 16, published authors. And the amount of pride, self-esteem, and just belief in themselves, confidence that these kids gained from becoming, writing their stories and becoming actual published authors, having a book signing event, selling their books, actually selling their own books, and being rewarded from their work monetarily, with money. It really made a big difference in the way these kids were able to see themselves, because when they put their stories on paper and are able to touch it, see it, and know that this is their story, and being able to show their friends and show their teachers and get that community support, it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference in the world that is available to them in their mind.
So we think about it. Of 3,300 children's books published in 2018, of 3,300, 390 books are about what we call African Americans, and only 194 is actually written or authored by this group. Put that in perspective. 3,300 children's books published 2018. Out of 3,300, 390 are about African Americans, and only 194 are written by African Americans. So when we talk about this concept of controlling our narrative, it is very well known. We have a few cited sources from academic research that shows that our children are definitely affected by the images that they see. When we think about, middle school, high school, these are the years that our kids are starting to form those personalities. What's cool about the world? What are the spaces I see myself operating in? And one of the things we talk about here at B1AG is how the dope game does a lot better promotion than the ag game. And so what can we do in a codified manner to counter that? And so today I'm gonna go through a few of the titles I have. I hope the family feel free to look them up on Amazon, but I want to talk about some of the titles and the science behind it. And so first, the other day, we had actually brought this up talking about baby food and how there's toxic heavy metals in baby food. And so, in a codified manner, what is a counter to that? And so it's seeing not only our kids is enjoying healthy foods that are prepared at home, but what are some things that parents can do? And so what I've learned within my household, sometimes the kids got to see themselves within the books. I know I was especially when I was younger, my mom had gotten this book. It was called Quip. And basically these were these customized books, and they could, you put the child's name in it. But I was always intrigued by seeing my name in something that I could flip pages. We know that there are cognitive benefits of flipping pages. We're living in a world where our social media sites, where we're getting a lot of our content, are going down for random reasons. So having these hard copy books at home accessible definitely make a difference. So something like Pudgy's First Foods. This is basically a picture book written in poetry. If we have any hip hop artists or music writers listening right now, if you can write a song, you can write a kid's book. And so the concept is a poetry talking about healthy foods. And then at the end of it, it goes through actual ways to prepare these healthy foods at home. These are for infants. My children eat these books. They actually eat them because they look so tasty. Recently, I came up with the series. It's called Healthy Young Bosses. We have a program on the Black Boss School, healthyblackfood.com. And so it's pretty much a complement to these courses. We have Healthy Young Bosses. And so within this series, ABCs. It's one thing seeing our kids as kind of the sidekicks, kind of like the anomaly within the group, but, really intentionally creating content where our kids see a majority of them. If they're in a community where most of the people look like them, then why would they not have literature that reflects those communities? So something as simple as, eggs. And so right now my children are in the stages where they're learning their ABCs. And so when they go through these books, I think it's very funny to me. I learned from watching them that the images they see, they ascribe each of these images to a family member they recognize. This is Dada. This is Auntie. This is Granddad. We're thinking about teaching colors. So this is Healthy Young Bosses Colors. Once again, being very codified. We're wanting to promote healthy foods. When you go through these books, you're not going to see pictures of pizzas or anything that's unhealthy. It's literally promoting images that are promoting healthy foods. Here at B1AG, we're marketing not only products, but this mindset of seeing ourselves in a space. This is Healthy Young Bosses Local Food Dictionary. What this is going over some basic components within agriculture, apiculture, your box gardens, different pieces of a local sustainable community. And all of the images that your children would see are images that reflect, people that they see in their community. And it has the definitions. Next. And so the other day, my niece, I went and visited my mother, and one of my nieces was over at my mother's house. And, one of the things with these books, obviously, I would hope that you would support some of these, but there are other books as well. These are coffee table books. These are useful in a classroom setting, but once again, just kind of sitting around the house. And so my niece, Jalea, she's about 7. Well, she's 7 now, but she was flipping through these books. And the concept of this book is just literally taking some pictures. When I got into my journey, I noticed most of the flyers you saw about Black agriculture, they were stock photos, meaning, okay, you're going to use these same photos across X amount of different platforms. And so my mindset was, how do we create our own photos? So these are literally just different programs we worked on throughout the years and just depicting positive images of our kids engaging in gardening projects, farm tours, farm to table dinners. and my niece was going through it, and I was kind of watching her. You know, I was looking at her, and she kept going to a page. I'm gonna see how quick I can get to the page where she's on. And she saw her picture. She didn't know I was looking at her, but she saw her picture, and she had the biggest grin on her face because, you know, and she was pointing to her little brother. She's like, "You see me in here? You see me in here?" This is then when they went on a nature hike. This is one of our programs called Hood to Farm. And she kept flipping back to the page. She flipped through other pages, and then she go back to the page where she was on, and the biggest grin. Because here she's looking at this book that's no different than any other book you see at a library or in school, and she's seeing her face. What is she seeing her face doing? She's seeing her face engaged in an activity outdoors. She's Turtle Island stand up, absolutely. She's seeing her face as a part of this landscape, not as a slave, not as in bondage, but as I'm a part of this. I have stake in this, in a positive image. We also have activity books. And so this is Farmer Brown, the MC, and the Green Team. Something simple as an activity book. You know, different crossword puzzles, coloring books. And this is actually a complement to another series, Raising Young Bosses Garden Guide and Raising Young Bosses Black to the Garden. And all of these books are available on Amazon.com. But Young Bosses, good morning, Sister Moffitt. Young Bosses, for example, this is literally a workbook. It's going over different basics of gardening, taking care of your gardens, where you start them. This is actually a very useful tool for somebody wanting to start their garden, even an adult. But the same information we will see in a Rand McNally, Houghton Mifflin, or whatever mainstream educational content education provider is in here. And all of the images are intentionally melanated children. It's going over the different types of gardening systems. It's going over different ways to make compost, soil composition, water quality. Then Young Bosses, this is pretty much, you know, I get into a little bit of my story, not too deep. This actually goes over some of the history of Black farmers, how we got in this position, what is the history. Once again, the pictures that we see, they're going to be pictures of people that we recognize, people from within our communities who are engaged in these activities. Nothing radical, just codified. We're a part of this ecosystem. Peace, sister, Chrissy Mack. This is simple, stupid stats and data. And so I had attended a conference a few years back, Environmental Educators Conference, and there's this concept of graphic art, statistical art. Sometimes we can we tend to think that these other people are just so educated, but sometimes all it takes is seeing something. We understand the concept of visuals to really paint a picture. And so with simple, stupid stats and data, this is literally a workbook. Like I said, I wish that these statistics were unreal, but this is according to the USDA US Census. So for example, when you look at Fortune 500 CEOs, it's one thing I tell you that melanated people only represent 0.6, but it's another thing you see the image of the representation of Fortune 500 CEOs, representation within the STEM sector. IT, like I said, I can't make these numbers up. We think about prisons. So once again, really creating visuals. And these are all, like I said, these are meant to be educational. And then last but not least, I got a couple more books, but just kind of tying into what we're talking about today, propaganda. So Wanda P was actually the first book I wrote back in 2009. This is actually the updated edition. And this book is special to me because when I started getting woke, this is around 2006. And I remember I'd come home telling my mom about all these conspiracies. I was down in Atlanta, you know, started coming across Behold a Pale Horse and all these different books. I'm just like, man, mama, these people are lying to us. They're saying this, they're saying this. Our history books are wrong. And she said, Trevor, if you got a problem with what you see in the books, write your own. And so I took that as a challenge, and I want to present that same challenge to the family today. It is great to write books. Like I said, I would definitely encourage you to check out some of the books that I have on Amazon.com. But also, we are in a space and time. There's technology where we can create our own literature. We can make our literature literally tailored to our households. We can make our literature tailored to our communities. Wanda P was basically, this is when I started understanding the as above, so below concept. That all of us, in a sense, operate as cells within a broader ecosystem. And so I think this was ironic, and it's actually kind of deep now. This is actually the colored version of it. But it's the concept of different cells in the body of Wanda P. Wanda P represents the world. We are no different as people. And it's talking about how the cells, they had this outside virus. This outside virus came and invaded the lung town in the body. I can't make this up. And this outside this outside virus wanted to take over the body. And they had the nerve cells, which are the cells within your brain that are responsible to send messages to the rest of the body. They created all these little conspiracies and created all these divisions within the other cells. And so what happened is the red blood cells, got in a war with the white blood cells, and that left room for the viruses and germs to come in and take over. So saying that to say, and it really is, like I said, it's an educational book just talking about how intertwined systems are. And I also have a coloring book that goes along with it. But my point behind creating this content, creating this literature, is literally how do we insert ourselves within this space without asking somebody to do it for us? Like I said, when I was talking about that statistic of children's books written, we're literally, even the books that our children are reading in these schools, they're not written by people from our communities. I've been fortunate to meet a couple of kids book authors, melanated kids book authors, but there's an issue with publishing. Trying to figure out where are the Black-owned publishers to really get this content to our kids, just in case a situation happens where the websites go down, just in case the sites where kids are getting this content go down. How can we fill our households with images full of our people doing things in nature? How do we fight this propaganda war, family?
Definitely through imagery. I know growing up, we, in my household, the Jet magazines and the Ebony magazines, and having, just a lot of Black authored books around really helped shape me and the way I saw myself and also just the way I seen the world through that lens. Making sure that I was, my family is steeped. I was given some shades. I know Farm Brown, you wear the bright yellow frames, but I was given some real shades as a lens, a real Black lens to look at the world through at a very young age. I started reading when I was 3, and at the age of 3, I'm again, like I said, I'm reading these Ebony's Black history. Look at pictorial of Black history through the civil rights. I'm looking at this book, and just reading about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and great Indian chiefs like Cochise. Reading these stories at a very, very young age definitely gave me a better insight into what's really going on in the world around me. And and as I out here in the world, looking at the world as a youngster especially, and even now that as I'm older, these stories come back to mind, and it's like, okay, this is where I remember this, I read this in the story, and now I'm seeing it play out in real life. It's propaganda is real. We see it every day on our social media. Again, like I'm referring back to these misinformations and fact checkers. We have to make sure that we enforce what real information is to our youth, and it's really more important now than it has ever been, because we see that they're trying to literally rewrite history again. They've done it before, but they're doing it again, and it's so blatant and in front of our face. And if we don't care to fight this narrative, all we have left is whatever narrative they have for us. I hope you're looking at these pictures that Farmer Brown is showing you, because this is how they depicted us. That looks like Kodak Black. Hey, could you go back to the 2 pages? You can't
Kodak
tell me.
Black.
You can't tell me that didn't look like Kodak Black. It's like
This book is The Saga of the Black Woman by Rosetta Lucas Quisenberry. I definitely encourage the family to look this sister. She's an ancestor now. I was fortunate to meet her. Saga of the Black Woman. And see, with her, what she understood was, okay, I'm going to show you these negative images that these people put out of us, but also showing you the positive pictures of the melanated Aboriginal women who didn't fit the stereotype that modern society at that time was putting out about our women. When we think about the archetypes that are promoted all across the social media sites, it's always putting us in this disparaging space. And we're the only ones who can control this narrative. We're the only ones that have a vested interest in controlling it. Here's the Saga of the Black Man. Like I said, this is a great series. These are some books that your kids need to see, just sitting around the dinner table. There's a man playing with the coons. We talk about this concept of coons and butter biscuits. This is a real, we talk about it now in 2021. Is a black man chasing a chicken. Like, these were literal postcards. People would send these to their loved ones. And so when we think about the plight of our grandparents, this is a man chasing a coon up the tree. When we think about the things that our grandparents had to endure, the imagery. But here goes the positive imagery. This is a band. This is music. This isn't, skinny jeans and dresses. No, these are black men making music, right? Positive images. Soldiers. And like I said, this is a saga of the black child, saga of the black man, saga of the black family. This is definitely a great collection to have. I will tell you, I remember I went to visit Miss Quisenberry a few times. She was just really schooling me. I encourage the family, really glean this information from your elders. I remember her whole living room was filled with books. It was filled with boxes of books that she was trying to sell. Unfortunately, where we live at, it's taboo to talk about certain things. A lot of people like to toe that line. People don't want to be offensive to anybody. I don't want to offend you and let you know that I'm aware of these horrible narratives you're putting out. So maybe if I just don't say nothing, maybe it'll be nicer. Those days are over, family. Those days are over, and we have all the power we need. We don't have to ask anybody to create a better visual for ourselves. Here at B1AG, our conversation is intentionally behind seeing ourselves within agriculture. So once again, without throwing too many shameless plugs, this is the purpose of my book, Grow Harder. Literally. See, that's me down in South Louisiana. We was going over some of our family land. And I wasn't with it at the time. You see, I had the jams on. That lets you know how old I am. I wasn't with it. And it was only till I was older that I realized, like, oh, wow. This is space where my ancestors worked. This is space where my ancestors had to do business. It's a space where people came and undermined my ancestors, and they almost lost it. And so now I have a mission as a responsibility to the line I come from to do something about it. This goes far when we talk about this war, when we talk about this propaganda. Propaganda is a big piece of war. I have to have a community. You think about the Afghanistan war. You think about the war in the Middle East. By this time we had social media and news to remind Americans why we need to be over here, taking all this money, taking all of this oil. See these bad people, they've got yellow cake. It was propaganda, whether you see it as good or bad. It was necessary to get the buy-in of the people to go along with this engagement. And so our contention is, if we can control the narrative, and it starts with seeds. It's one thing, trying to talk positive. I'm with it. If there's a group of youth that are wanting to hear information, this is what I do. I like to talk about what I understand about agriculture. But it starts with the seed before these kids can even read. It starts with them just seeing themselves positively. It starts with colorful pictures. It starts with colorful images. These are books, like I said, that you can read to your kids, even if they don't know words. And like I said, I know this works because I'm from a school of thought, don't go try to tell nothing to nobody unless it works in your household. And so I know my kids now too, they can't, they're starting to say more words now, but they tie literally, if they see a tractor on TV or anywhere, Farmer Brown, Farmer Brown. They see anything that has to do with gardening. They see gardening tools, they see soil. First thing that comes to their mind is Farmer Brown, Farmer Brown. Because we intentionally have these books spread out around the house. They're in the stage they like to meddle. They like to pull things down from the shelves. And so we strategically have these books placed around the house. So when they pull them down, every image they see of this abstract concept of agriculture is going to be one that was intentionally images of themselves is what's put in there. Like I said, the beauty that we have right now, we can self-publish books online. It'd be nice if you want to apply your artistic skills, but you can literally take pictures. This is why we encourage agritourism. Find some local Black farmers around wherever you're at in Turtle Island. Take pictures there. Take pictures with your children sitting on a tractor. Take pictures with your children talking to this elder farmer. And then you can put it, go through Word, not WordPress, Word, Microsoft Word, create a book. When you go to Amazon.com, they actually give you, not Amazon.com, Amazon KDP, they actually give you templates where all you're doing is taking your text, you're taking your pictures, and you can edit it. Like I said, if I never sell a book, I know my kids have at least 12 books that their dad wrote that this has become normal. This is lifestyle to them. And I'm aware that right now, like I said, within North America, Turtle Island, each of us have this same ability. We find ourselves in a situation where a lot of us are stuck at home right now, either working remotely or in transition. But this is a great way to fill some of this time. And, as the elder Nellie Fuller say, what is the most productive thing we can do at this time? And one thing we can do, because we know the record labels, we know mainstream news is going full steam in creating these images of us being needy, creating these images of us being, enamored with everything ratchet. We can counter this narrative, family.
And what's the URL for the books, Farmer Brown?
Amazon.com, Trevor Claiborne. Let me pull it up real quick. But you can find these books on there. You can reach out to us directly. Like I said, the whole goal is to create visuals that our children see themselves as the primary stakeholders within a $1 trillion industry in what we call North America. Called agriculture. And so the link I just sent, this is the Pudgies, but when you go to this one, you can find all of the other books. Like I said, buy one, buy all of them. I did the cost analysis for about $98. You could get all of these books. These are definitely, I'm not going to say possibly, these are definitely a great asset to any library that you have. If you have some young, impressionable minds. I know there's a certain rapper right now, Old Country Road rapper, that has kids' book. His record label understood the value of, okay, we've gotten the trust of these elementary kids that like this Old Town Road song. Now we'll interject some other, however you see that. Our goal is using this concept of propaganda to insert agriculture, food production, food systems, healthy food.
And that's the URL for the Pudgies First Foods, yes. www.amazon.com, Pudgies First Foods, Trevor Claiborne, DP, 1-689-544-953. And you could always go back and press pause on this podcast, so you can write it down, or so you can really check out the books. Because we really need to push these positive images of ourselves, books. We really do. Because if not, we're going to start having little babies with face tats. If we don't change it, just give them more, just different images of themselves. I hate to see, a little 4-year-old with face tats. Not disparaging anybody with face tats, but I hope y'all get what I'm trying to say.
Everything is marketing. Nobody had an idea of getting a face tat until you saw a broadcasted image of somebody with a face tat. Nobody thought about, rap music until rap music was broadcasted. Saying that to say everything that sells, everything that becomes a part of culture, everything that goes along with this concept of social engineering has to be marketed very strategically. And like I say here at B1AG, we're in a space and time technology exists where we can literally create these images from a grassroots level. Like I said, with our program, Basics for Young Bosses. And so we know these kids, and all of these kids were in elementary school. I think a handful of them were in middle school. They're able to write their own books. These are great programs when we're thinking about alternative ways of learning. These books are also available online if you're interested in checking them out. These kids are authors. They're legitimate authors. So let us not underestimate the power and ability of our kids. But once again, if sometimes you have to see something being done before you see yourself as doing it. As adults, this is something we can definitely do. We don't need permission.
I hope y'all got a better understanding of this fight for the minds of our youth. The Black, Hispanic, and Asian 8 through 18-year-olds spend on average 4.5 more media daily than their white counterparts. They look at their social media and, they're really using this a lot. And a lot of these images that they see on these social media platforms are not really promoting the community forward. So we really need to give them images promoting the community forward, showing their value, showing that they are worth something more, showing and just expanding the possibilities of what is available for them, in their mind first, planting that seed in their mind. You can be more. You're not limited. You're not stuck in a box. You're not stuck in your neighborhood. The whole world is yours. This universe is yours. Create your own universe. We need to let our youth know that is an option. Give them options. Show them that there are other options. Help them to create their own options. It's been a great show. Here at B1AG, we're pushing the Black algorithm. We're pushing the Black algorithm. We're fighting against the algorithm and pushing the Black algorithm. We want everyone to help make this conversation bigger. We need more of us talking about the things we talk about on the show, especially pertaining to agriculture. They're doing a lot of strange things with the foods. They're being real slick about how they market these GMOs and fake foods to us. So we need to make sure that our antennas are up, our awareness is up, so we can see the real from the fluff.
Brother Nathan Lockridge brought up a good point. He said we don't have any farmers left in my area. And so this is exactly why when we talk about pushing this Black algorithm, we have to reach people where they are. It's ultimately going to be our youth that's going to determine whether or not we reach zero or we exponentially rise. And so areas like here in Central Kentucky, where I'm at, the Black farmers are down to 1.4% of 77,000 farmers in the state. of 77,000 farmers. This is just in Kentucky. And I challenge the family watching right now. You can get those on Amazon as well, sister. I challenge the family to watching right now. Look up the statistics of black farmers in your state. And I guarantee you, I think Georgia has the highest percentage. Georgia, Mississippi, and it's up to 12. But on average, the majority black farmer representation is like 1.4%. And so how do we counter that? We didn't get down to 1.4% overnight. It took some marketing. It took marketing people to, hey, let me leave this land to go up here to the big city and work in these factories that are now shut down, that we're now getting replaced in. It took marketing through a lot of these history books and social studies books to basically always cast melanated people in relation to the land as, oh, this is slavery. This is bondage. You don't want nothing to do with this. Like we used to do when we was kids. We didn't want our cousins eating on our plate. We lick it. That's what's been done with agriculture. And so to build this base of agriculturalists, to build the amount of black farmers in all of these areas where we know we're losing them, it starts early. The beauty that we have, Brother Lockridge, is that there are people online. There are farmers online. I can't help but to think about Lead Farmer 73. Brother be dropping some gems. He's more of a prepper. I think about Pastor Dow. I think about people like Corey Goo, What It Do, Ron Finley, Will Allen. We have all sorts of examples and archetypes of people who are still in it. You know, they're still putting in work. And so this is the time to start introducing it to these kids now. Because what these kids have that we didn't growing up is this. Any one of these kids can get on their phone. They come up with these cool ways. What do they call it? TikTok, whatever. And they can literally inspire the next generation of people who are going to take this serious. Because it took somebody saying, hey, you know, I can cook this up in the kitchen, chop it up, and go sell it on the block and poison everybody. And then we got some rap music that's going to promote it. When we think about alcohol and drugs, this is promoted. It is marketed. And so the law of compensation is the amount of energy put into marketing everything that destroys our communities, families, our minds. We literally have to put that same type of energy in building and feeding our minds. And we have all the resources we need to do that, family. Absolutely. The ball's in our court. We see as long as we're playing on somebody else's court, the game is always going to be rigged against us. I don't like running in confusion, and I don't like shooting in the air. But something we can shoot for is the minds of our children. And we can do that. It doesn't take education. It doesn't take a whole bunch of philosophy and knowledge. It takes creating the images we want to see of this black future. In West Texas, because Texas, hey, it's funny you brought up Texas. I keep thinking about Jay Prince. He's one of the most influential hip-hop moguls in rap history, but he's also a large livestock farmer. He actually got his start selling hogs. This is how Rap-A-Lot Records was started. So saying that to say, how do we promote images of Jay Prince and his farm operation? How do people in Texas convince, hey, bro, you know, you want to host some farm tours at your farm? Because we see how you could convince a lot of people want to get into rap and get into that lifestyle. But can you talk about this other part of how you got this money to even start this rap enterprise? And it was through agriculture. It's a $1 trillion a year industry, and it's only growing. As the population grows, so will the need for people to eat. And we have a place in it. It is in our DNA to master this.
And I'd like to share this with the B1AG family at shopblack.us. This URL is probably one of the most comprehensive lists of black farmers across the country. Go to your state. You can click on this article. I dropped it in the chat in the comment section on Facebook and YouTube. Click on it and you can find there are not many lists, but this is probably one of the biggest and most comprehensive lists where you can find from throughout the states, where are these black farmers? So find one near you, be a friend, spend some dollars, push the black algorithm, push the black algorithm, circulate the money within our own community. That's how we'll have a healthier community, a stronger food system, and bring your kids and let them get this knowledge as well. And also like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Y'all look in the comment section again. That's shopblack.us. I dropped the URL. Find your black farmers near you. Find your black farmers near you. Farmer Brian, it's been a great show. Propaganda. There's no misinformation over here, though. We're dropping straight facts. Down here in Florida, Georgia, we say fikes. Dropping these fikes. Ain't no misinformation around here. You dig? But if our family, if the B1AG family, the B1 family, if they really want to know something, Farmer Brian, what do they need to do?
You really want to know something? Let's write our own narrative and learn how to grow something.
There it is. I don't know about y'all, but it's raining outside and around here. Stay dry, stay safe, move forward in love, never stop growing. B1AG Daily Bread Podcast. I'm John Henry Harris. We have Farmer Brian EMC. Y'all have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.